There's always going to be a limit to what you can create alone. Like, I know it well. I've been a loner forever. I've done so many of my art projects and so many of different things in my life alone. I've done the overwhelming majority of the workload of every single project that I've ever made. But no one is self-made. We all need somebody. We all need a group of people to help us bring something to the finish line. And when you take that seriously, you can really open the door to the possibility of what your art can become. What's up with it, y'all? My name is Trevor Wynn. I am an experiential artist based in Chocolate City, Washington, D.C., and I make art to challenge perspectives and give hope to the marginalized and oppressed. And today we are on episode 7 of my creative breakdown of my latest series, Niggas in Nature. Now, there's plenty of spaces on YouTube where you can talk about the technical. You can talk about lenses and the specifications of, inverse square law. And you can talk about lighting techniques and all these sorts of things, 3-point lighting, 5-point lighting, lighting for spaces, all these things. But where are the spaces to talk about creative inspiration? And that's what I'm trying to bridge the gap of here and help y'all to tell better stories, to create better art, to create bodies of work. Because if you know me, you know that bodies of work matter to me. So let's chop it up, y'all. Let's talk about building art in community. Having to grind is inevitable. You're gonna have to put the work in. If you care about your craft, you will have to put in an extensive amount of time and more than most anyone else in order to be good at what you're doing. It's important, but here's the reality. You are going to reach a threshold of what you can accomplish alone. Even look at folks like Kehinde Wiley. Kehinde Wiley has people who are assistants helping him to finish and create paintings. There's a limit of the types of films that you can make alone. There's a limit to the scale of projects that you can produce alone, because we are made for community. We're made to build together. We are not made to do this life thing alone. So when it comes to Niggas in Nature, it seems like a pretty isolated event, but it actually had some folks involved. Definitely is lighter on the number of people involved, but it definitely had a lot of people who still needed to come behind it to make it come to life. So when it comes to who was a part of Niggas in Nature, we got first up the engineer and cast member, one of the engineers, because I engineered part of this, and only cast member of Niggas in Nature aside from me is Tay, the producer. He was my conversation partner. He was the homie, if you've seen him in the credits. And yeah, I needed him to be able to execute a actual lively, solid conversation, and somebody I had chemistry with. And you can tell in the way that it came out that we actually had a flow and a way that we could resonate together. Couldn't do it alone. Could have tried to do it, talked to y'all about the AI situation before, did not like it, did not sound good. So I'm glad I did with the homie. Kept it real, kept it authentic. Next up, the audio bed. The people that made it possible to have that soundscape. That's called my community, y'all. That's the people who are walking around that you could hear in the background just from natural sounds. Niggas at the bus stop. Shout out to the lady at this one shop who let me open and close her door to get the sound of the wind chime hitting the door and what that would sound like. All of those different pieces of people. Yeah, I went out there and recorded that stuff myself, but I needed people living, moving, breathing, and reacting and interacting in order to create this mug. Then it came down to research. I had a conversation with Ma Dukes and talked about history. We talked about that on a couple of episodes. So I needed my mom to come into the picture to kind of create some perspective for me on what this stuff looks like. Not only do I need the history of them actually living for me to live, but I also needed those conversations to help enrich this project. Then I had homies that I talked to about this project. When it comes down to projects, I sometimes have like a small group that I might share stuff with. And so I had a couple people that I would share maybe an image with or two. I talked strategy with my homegirl Hannah, talked a little bit of it after the fact with my homegirl Adama, talked with my old boss Gary about strategy stuff early on, talking with my homegirl Brittany about some of the photos that I had. And then shout outs to, again, Adama, and then the homie Sam Becker Miadai, who I sent the rough cut of the first episode to. And they gave me feedback on the soundscape, where in the beginning I had some music softly incorporated with some distortion on it to sound more environmental, and wanted to hear their reaction to with music and without music. And they gave me feedback on what that was like. And that's how I ended up continuing to decide that, yeah, I think I am gonna go without music behind it. And so, yeah, that was a piece of it, even in that. So even on a project like this that was mostly constructed by me, I still needed, that's like almost 10 folks that I needed and chopped it up with to be able to then bring this project to life. And then even Tay, like I mentioned Tay as like an engineer and stuff, but Tay was also somebody that I was going back and forth with to get an additional recording, letting him see what cuts were looking like, or earlier cuts were looking like, and him getting that inspiration from that and giving me some feedback on things that he liked and things that he didn't like. And so, yeah, there's so many spaces where even with something that is pretty much created by me, the other places where I needed help and needed friends and needed community, just for conversations, just for feedback and finding the right collaborators to look at my stuff and to tell me like it is, but also help me to make stuff better, but also to praise it when it needs to be praised. Like, you need the people who gonna keep it a buck with you, and then like who are gonna keep it a buck with you when something's not good, but also are gonna praise you, like gonna give you a love when something is solid, to help you know when you got something. I can say straight up that this project was better in community. Again, we talked about the AI approach in the beginning and stuff because Tay was busy and I was trying to figure out how to get his voice in there, because I just don't have a solid amount of folks out here, you know, strong community, creative community out here. But when I did kind of go back on this mug, it just felt goofy. Like it didn't feel right when I just was trying to do the AI thing. And so when it was with Tay and we did record outside and we did have the communal sounds, we did have all those things going down, it just felt better. It incorporated a fuller perspective of what I was trying to do, was a better metaphor for everything I was trying to do. And you look at this culture and the way, you know, they've isolated us physically through the ways they'll cut interstates through neighborhoods and want us to be individualists and keep us from the community, like overworking us, trying to keep us from experiencing community, experiencing life in that sort of way. And in many ways, that's just a trap of capitalism. In many ways, it just is straight up a trap of capitalism to keep us as individualists. But my niggas, we need each other to build and to build well. I think about this, I was listening to an old Kendrick interview, hearing him talk about the early days at TDE and, you know, how, you know, hard stuff was back in the beginning, but how they kept pushing. I was thinking about how, like, yeah, everybody's got to put their head down and work. And there is a part where the work just relies on you, but also, yo, shout out to the fact that he had J-Rock, he had Absol, he had Soundwave, he had Mixed by Ali, he had Top, he had Punch, he had all these people around him of his core unit of the folks he really came up with, Dave Free, all these niggas to really help him become the best that he possibly could be. And that's just a picture of it, of how much better and how much stronger we can be building together. So when it comes to your own projects, when it comes to your own visuals, when it comes to your own bodies of work, look at the ways to incorporate your community. That's not to say just give your ideas out to folks and have people hustle your ideas, this, that, and the third, but it's find a trusted community, find a trusted, solid group of people that you can rely on and that y'all can build together. It's so much better to build together than to build separate, because, man, when the going gets tough and ish is really, like, you really in the thick of it, you need the people gonna hold you up and tell you keep going, to encourage you through the storm. So keep it pushing, y'all, and I'll be back for the final episode of the Creative Breakdown of Niggas in Nature, episode 8. I'll catch y'all on the flip. Be easy, be safe. Peace.